Well, as tomato season comes to an end, and I'm afraid that's where we are, you've got to do something with all of those beautiful heirloom homegrown tomatoes. So today we're going to make a tomato tart that can't miss. This simple recipe couldn't be easier, and this tomato tart is the perfect hors d'oeuvre, a great appetizer. It's delicious as a side dish with a salad. You'll love it. Watch. While your oven is heating at 350, spread out a little flour onto your work surface. And I'm going to use a ready-to-bake puff pastry sheet. Could not be easier. I'm going to roll this out just a little bit to spread it in each direction. And then what we're going to do is simply take a paring knife or a pizza cutter and just trim the sides about 1/2 of an inch. And this is going to create a little crust. I'm going to brush the edges of these so that they can adhere. Just the edges is all you need. You could also put 2 sheets of these together if you want to make a bigger one. I'm just making a smaller one so that you guys can see how simple this is. We're going to lay our strip right on top of that. Cut off the excess because you don't want it to be too puffy. This is puff pastry after all. And when this bakes up, you're going to see you've got a gorgeous little crust on your tart. I've slipped this onto a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. I'm going to pop it into the oven for 12 to 15 minutes to get it started. While the puff pastry is getting golden brown in the oven, I'm taking a sharp knife to thinly slice 2 different colors of heirloom tomatoes. Oh my God, these smell like they just got pulled from the garden. So beautiful, so fresh. I'm doing 2 colors because I think it looks prettier to alternate them on the tart. You can do them all one color if you like. I happen to have red and yellow. Our gorgeous tomatoes are sliced and ready to be put on top of our half-baked puff pastry base. It's always a good idea to puncture some holes into your pastry before you bake it, which I forgot to tell you. Otherwise, it'll pop up a little. Not a big deal. It's just fine just the way it is. Once that pastry comes out of the oven, you're going to want to layer some chopped or very thinly sliced mozzarella. I'm staying away from cheese for a couple of weeks. We're taking a little vacation from each other. So I'm just going to use a generous sprinkling of some Parmigiano Reggiano. Then we're going to lay our tomatoes right on top of that. Just the way you see them on my cutting board. Beautiful. Gorgeous. There we are. I could almost eat that raw, but I'm not going to. We're going to pop that into the oven for another 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is. When it comes to enjoying fresh tomatoes, I really can't do it without some fresh basil because it just is the perfect complement. So we're going to do a little chiffonade to sprinkle on top when it comes out of the oven. A chiffonade, if you've watched any of these videos, you've heard me say that before, is just a fancy word for cutting up your basil leaves. I'm going to roll them up after layering them, and then I'm just going to do a very thin slice. And that, my friends, is a chiffonade. Simple, right? If you like it a little finer, you can just give it a cross dice and call it a day. Oh my God, it smells so good. Let's take a peek. Oh, look at that thing of beauty. That is just what I'm looking for. Golden brown edges, beautiful fresh tomatoes. Perfect. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of basil right on top of that. Let it cool. You can do a drizzle of balsamic vinegar on this if you like. You can add any kind of cheese underneath if you like. But this, my friends, is a brilliant way to end your season of summer tomatoes. Make yourself a tomato tart. It really doesn't get easier than this. Thanks for watching.